All right, on today's episode of Python Papi, we're back inside our smart contracts project. Let's have a look at what we're going to be going over today. Yesterday, I introduced the concept of message.value to you, and today we're going to show you how we're going to implement it into our contract. So you can see here we have our contract at external, at payable. This payable is going to allow us to read that value field inside of the Remix IDE. Then we have our function. Then we have our doc strings here. We explain what the doc strings were. And then we have our assert message.value equals to 18 zeros. And you must assign exactly 1 ETH to fund this contract. Now, this is equivalent to 1 ETH. It's just in the form of a way. So this is a 1 ETH in the form of way. So as you can see here, it's 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 zeros. So it's going to be 18 decimal places after the one. And this is how we represent 1 Ether using a way. Now, next example, we are requiring that the user sends exactly zero point 0.1 ETH, which is equal to the number I just told you. In this next section, we will go over way, Gwei, and Ether, which are the three different units of measurement for ETH. So you can see here, 1 Ether equals, like I said, 1 and 18 zeros of way. 1 Ether equals 1, and what is this? 369 zeros for Gwei. Now, as we may have noticed, way is the smallest unit of measurement for Ether in the EVM ecosystem, and then there's a unit of measurement that we'll be using in our smart contracts mostly. So let me get and put a space there. You gotta save that. This is because the EVM only understands way, and it is the most precise unit of measurement for ETH. Assert message.value equals 118 zeros is not very readable, and it's not very user friendly. So we will use some of Vyper's built-in utilities that will allow us to convert between the different units of measurement. Let's move down a little bit so we can go here. Now, Vyper has a built-in function called as wave value, which will convert the value we pass into way. So as wave value equals Vyper built-in function that converts a value to way. So that's going to allow us to convert this into ETH, or is wave value in ETH. So this will be represented. I'll show you. You'll see as we move further, go down. So anytime we send a transaction and we're working with way, which will always be, we can use the as way function to convert the value to way. Now this is how we will implement it into our contract. So we're going to go down and see how we actually implement that into our contract. So you can see we have our contract again at external payable. This is our function. These are the doc strings, and you can see here we have assert message.value equal as way value 1 ETH. So we're telling the contract that we want to get 1 ETH value of way. So you must send exactly 1 ETH to fund this contract. It's still the same parameters that we're using, and it's still the same amount of ETH that we want, but this time we want it in the value of way. So we want 1 ETH in the value of way. So instead of writing that 1 and 18 zeros, we'll just tell the contract we want 1 ETH. Let me see here, 1 Ether. This is what we want, but we want it back as the value of way. We want it back in the form of way. Now, in this example, we are requiring that the user sends the equivalent of 1 Ether in the form of weight, like I just explained. We can also add a message at the end of the function, which is optional. Notice that we use the comma after the assert statement, which allows us to add a message to the assert statement. This message will be displayed if the assert statements fail, which is a good way to let our user know something went wrong. So if they don't meet these measurements here, or they don't meet these requirements, they'll see this message here. You must send exactly 1 ETH to fund this contract. So the way we have it set up right now, which is going to change as we move forward, if they send anything less or if they send anything over than 1 Ether, they'll get this error message here letting them know, hey, we need you to send exactly 1 ETH to fund this contract. Now that was actually the end of the introduction. So we made it out of the introduction module, and tomorrow we'll start using we'll dive into the transaction module so we can move forward and finally catch up to where we are. But of course, I will keep you posted every step of the way. For now, this is the Python Papi. You guys stay Gucci.